Hi, Jim Fisher, signing on today for the third way. Not left, not right, but America's third way. Today I wanted to talk about capitalism a little bit, and I wanted to kind of give a quick definition of capitalism versus socialism and command economics versus free market economics. There is only two types of economic systems. That is command economics, which is socialism, and the other is capitalism, which is free market economics. Command economics or socialism, by definition, is government owning the plans and means for production. And capitalism or free market economics is just that. There is no central planning. Exchanges are allowed to happen without regulation, and everybody is basically in charge of their own means of production. The masses are in charge and plan the means of production. So that's kind of the official definition. All economies have some mixture of both command and free market economics. The United States has gone more and more command and less free market over the past 100 years. Really since its inception, but in the late 1700s, but mostly in the past 100 years, and really since the Great Depression, 1930s. But all economies have some mixture of both. An economy like Russia, one of the reasons it survived as long as it did was because it had some version of free market in it. It had, black market, which is a version of the free market. It had, there was periods of time in the Russian history where they would allow farmers to utilize a small portion, 5 to 10% of their property, and they were allowed to keep their own, what they produced themselves from that 5 or 10%. There's estimates that at times that 5 or 10% produced over 90% of the actual agricultural goods in Russia. And so all countries have some mix, and how prosperous a country is really what mix of free market it has versus how little command economics it has. And so I wanted to tell a quick story that Jeff Tucker from the Mises Institute told on in a lecture that I heard from him. And he was talking about how he went into Walmart one day, and he went into the produce section. It was one of those super Walmarts that has the food. And he saw a guy going through the different sections of the produce, and he was throwing pieces of fruit into a big Gaylord. So he walked up and he asked the guy, what was he doing? Are you storing food for something else? Or are you guys shipping some food off to another store or something? And the Walmart employee said, no, I'm just getting rid of any bruised or any marked fruit or any less than perfect fruit. And, from the beginning of history of man has always struggled. Every society has always struggled with being able to feed its populace. From ancient Egypt to ancient Rome, ancient Greece, one of the biggest struggles of any society has been to be able to keep its populace from starving. And here we are today in a store that feeds and where the poorest among us shop. Will only sell, not just sell any food, will only sell appealing food that is more than can't be bruised, can't be marked. And the poorest among us not only are well fed, but the poorest among us only have the opportunity to buy perfect food because the store refuses to sell anything less to us. That's what capitalism has brought for us today. And one thing about capitalism, it's something that, especially people on the left, but even people on the right, they refuse to use capitalism for things like the Department of Energy and education, and people on the left think of capitalism as the big evil. It's where all the horrible greedy capitalists at the top are controlling the rest of society through a oligarchy or But the truth of the matter is capitalism is a system where where it's controlled by the many, not by the few. Socialism is a system that claims to be for the many, but socialism is a system of central planning. In order to have socialism, you have to give power to the central planners, and because of that, you will have massive corruption, and the planning is done by the few over the many. In capitalism, it should really be called consumerism, because it's the consumer who decides. It's the consumer who controls. If we don't like Coca-Cola, guess what? Coca-Cola is going out of business. If we decide we've had enough at a Toyota and we think their cars suck, guess where Toyota's going? That's capitalism. It's where the many control the system. We vote every single time we make a purchase. If you don't like McDonald's cheeseburgers, and neither does anybody else, guess what's going to happen to McDonald's? It can't be a system where the big evil capitalists are controlling it. They have to obey what the consumer wants, or they won't be around. That's just a fact. The only way they can skew the balance of that